Okay, so in this video I want to talk about a few of my favourite plants in the garden, and I'm going to have to restrict myself on this one, I think, because there's just so many that I absolutely love, and actually most of the plants I put in here are my favourites. But I'm going to try and isolate them to a few, if that's possible. I'm not going to start in any particular order, I just want to show you what I've got, what I like and why I like them. And I think we'll start with this one. And this is a Persicaria. A lot of people will probably never have seen this Persicaria. This particular one's called Persicaria polymorpha. And I've shown this one many times before. But it happens to be one of my favourites and has been for many, many years now. I've had this at most houses that I've been to. What I like about this one is it's got some cracking flowers. Some white flowers there, and as I've mentioned on previous videos, it smells like fox pea. And if you've never smelt fox pea, as I've said as well, get yourself one of these plants and you'll quickly learn what fox pea smells like. Now the beauty of this plant is that it will die back into its clump. So it comes from a central clump and then just dies back into it. So although it's big, as you can see in this sheep bale feeder, it will go back into the central clump. The leaves are massive. If I show one of my hands against that, there you go, you can see that's quite a size of a plant or leaf. And I really like it. So let's have a wander around the garden and see what else I really like. While we're here, we might as well just add this to the list now, because this is probably my all-time favourite grass. And at the moment we're at this phase with it. It's a lovely phase, this. I like it. It's going to go up at least another 1.5 foot at the moment, and that's when it's at its best. Now, although these seed heads are closed at the minute, as you can see from that, they do open up and have purple tinges to them, so they look really, really nice. Now, I like planting them en masse, but they also look good as a single specimen, of which I've got around the garden. This one is Calamagrostis acutiflora Carl Forster, and it's one of the grasses that I recommend to people if they want to get into ornamental grasses, because this one will not cause you a problem at all. It's not prone to many diseases, apart from a bit of rust that it takes on in the leaf now and again, but that doesn't really affect the plant. And it's a sterile hybrid. A really good one. I like it a lot. It's yet to come into its best phase, as I just said, and that won't be too long now. That will not be too long. I have it all over up here at Grassy Bottom. It looks fantastic. Now this grass has at least 11 months of interest. From the word go, it's away and looks good. It has a green, fresh leaf to start with, low down, and then it shoots these seed heads up. Then over time gets taller, as I said, and then it changes, and eventually it goes back to this tight look, but straw coloured, and it remains straw coloured until we have to do the cutback. And I really struggle with that. I don't like cutting it back because it's just such a nice looking grass that you just want to keep it there. So while we're up this end of the border as well, we'll talk about this one. Now this is Phalictrum, and its common name is meadow rue. So from that you can imagine probably lives in damp meadows. Well, it does live in damp meadows. But I've got this up here at Grassy Bottom in heavy chalk. And it's doing really, really well. Now this one starts off with a purple stem, purple leaves when it first comes up. Then they change, the leaves change, but the stems pretty much stay a purpley colour. Not as good as when it first comes up, I must admit. But it's a fantastic plant. I really like the tallness of this plant as well. And this year it's up to 7 foot. It's never made that here up to now. And we've been here for 4 years now. And this is the highest I've ever seen it. It mixes well with grasses as well, as you can see there, and with that Calamagrostis Carl Forster. Looks brilliant. So that's another good one. So we'll just take a little wander and have a little natter. So that's the polo, as you know, and it's starting to look good. You can see now that the roses are doing their thing. They're looking good. And once all that leaf takes over, you'll get to see what I had in my mind a couple of years back when I first did this. I love it. I love looking through there. Just looks like a different garden when you look through the polo. Anyway, so while we're here, we'll talk about these. And these are what I'm calling bee chalets. And these are for mining bees or solitary bees. And you'll see that these things are advertised in different and various forms. But I've made these myself out of some old pine, some pine wood I had. And they look fantastic. I've got lead roofs on them. And then over time, we will find that we've got solitary bees coming into here and laying eggs in there. They're brilliant. And if you're really into your wildlife, I suggest you try and get hold of a few of those, or just simply drill some holes into some sort of an old piece of wood. The holes there are 10 millimetres, if you do want to make one. The cloister pergola is looking fantastic this year, and that's because the roses are away now. And they're getting quite mature now. The white one is absolutely fantastic. I always talk about this one. It's called Starlight Symphony, and the one to the left, the more pink one, that's Gertrude Jekyll, and that's fantastic as well. Gertrude Jekyll, I guess, has the edge for me because it's heavily scented. It looks fantastic. But then, likewise, Starlight Symphony has a little bit of a scent. Not as good, but not bad. Now, if I was going to recommend any tree, it would be a silver birch. This one's Betula utilis jackmontii, the Himalayan birch, and it's beautiful. It just has so much interest all year. Absolutely all year. Now, to start with, when you buy one, you'll buy it, and it'll probably look more like that when you first buy these types of trees. No colour whatsoever, just brown. But within 3 years, you should start to see this if you get the right type of silver birch. And the one that will turn the quickest is one called Betula Snow Queen. So look out for that one. That does turn quicker. This is a multi-stemmed version. And I've done many videos on how to get this look. Because it's not just going to happen naturally. You've got to really, really work on this. You've got to take out crossing branches, branches that are not quite working. And then over time, you should be able to achieve that. It's just a case of keep going at it until you're happy with it. Now, looking at that right now, you can see already there's a branch there that's moving to the right, that's falling down. That is more than likely going to have to come off because it's just going to spoil the effect. And you can't rush these things. You've just got to do it as and when these things happen. So that branch will have to go. It will have to go. Now, all the branches over time are going to be pure white. I expect this tree now to get to about 25 foot, maybe 30 at a push. They're not big trees, and it sounds quite big, that, but it's really, really not that big. But it's a beauty. I'm trying not to talk about too many because I've just got so many nice plants in this garden. Now, if I was going to pick a rose to be my absolute favourite, I think I would go to this one. And this is the Himalayan musk rose. It's called Rosa glauca. And I just love this simplistic rose flower on it. More like a dog rose. And I like the new growth on the stems. They tend to be purpley red when they first come out. It's not showing it too good now because that's when it first starts growing, you get more of that. But it's still looking good at the moment. I mean, a lot of those are red and purple. They look really nice. And the leaves take on this altogether different tone. Look at that. It's just fantastic. You don't get that on the normal roses. Now, these can become a little shrub if you prune it carefully, or it can become a single specimen tree, but you really need to buy a specimen that's just got one stem to it. And I do have one of those up near the greenhouse. That's sat in a pot, and I'm training that at the moment. Whether I'll ever use it, I don't know. I really don't know. So I think we'll just take a look at this Astrantia, because this year the Astrantias are doing so well. This is my own version. This is Astrantia Muriel's Gift. It's just looking fantastic. The colours are amazing. You're not going to be able to buy this one. This was a gift from a lady called Muriel. And she's since passed away. So I keep this to remember her by. And it's wonderful. Its common name is Hattie's Pincushion. But you've got to be careful if you get these, because they are very, very promiscuous. They will seed around. And you can expect that to happen. But I think it's worth showing. So there you go. That's a nice little scene, that. Hostas are doing well. So I've got to be careful how many plants I do choose out of here, because I've got just so many that I'd like to recommend to you. Now, this particular plant is what we would class as a dead nettle, so it doesn't really sting. In fact, it doesn't sting at all. Looks like it would sting, but it doesn't. And this plant is called Lamium orvala. This has been flowering for at least 3 months and continues to do so, and it continues to send up new flowers and gets taller and taller. This year's the best I've seen it. It's had a good start, so it's doing really well. And very nice. A very nice filler plant, that one. I'd class that as a filler plant. So you could put that in your border and it would help to bulk it out a little bit. So that's absolutely wonderful. I love it. Now that's Sambucus. That is one called Black Tower. And it's fast become one of my favourite shrubs. This was quite a tall one when I bought it. I actually got it from a garden centre that I used to run. So I bought it as I think it was about 3 foot. And then over the time I've had to prune it. I've taken lots of cuttings off this. Just let that tractor go past. Will not let it spoil our filming. And this is fantastic. I love the colour. I love its growth habit, which is columbular. And I love the flowers it produces. Now, if I take you to this one here, this is a cutting I took 2 years ago. It's now 3 foot, 3.5, maybe up to 4 foot now. But it's wonderful, easy to take cuttings from. And I've put this in 3 other locations in this garden. That's wonderful. While we're here, we'll take a look at this. Put this up today. This is what we call a downpipe boot. So that's the end of a downpipe, an old cast one that I've managed to get. And in there, I've got a sedum called Spatulifolium. Not the best plant, really, to choose for this, but just thought I'd put it in there for the rest of the season. See how it does. I think it looks quite nice. So I'll carry on my quest to find other good plants that I would recommend to you. As I said, there's too many, really, to choose from. Way too many. But one I would try and sway you over to is this one here. And I talk about this one all the time. And this is Rheum palmatum tanguticum, this particular one. There are others, different types, but this one in particular is brilliant. I seem to like big plants and tall plants, and this sort of meets that criteria. So I'll put it next to the dip pools, the wildlife dip pools, and then just in that section there, that's where it overspills and gets all the water, hence it being the size that it is. So really this nice. Is the boardwalk border. There's just so many cracking plants in here that I'd like to tell you about, but I don't want to make this video too long. It's great from up here. You get to look right down. I can see the dovecote now as well above the cloister pergola, and that actually looks fantastic from up here. Wonderful. So I'm going to mention 2 plants while we're here. First, we'll mention the grass at the back there. Now, that grass is now almost 10 foot. what are we, June? It will get bigger than that. It's going to put at least another 5 to 6 foot on this year. It made 14 foot last year. That was the official size that we measured. And that one's called Miscanthus Lutaria riparius, and it's fantastic. It has 2 times of interest. Now, well, actually pretty much from the start, it has this lovely jungly look, and then later on, what will happen is all the lower leaves there will start dropping away. And underneath, you get this plum colour that looks really, really nice. And at first, when you get these, you don't notice that because it kind of creeps up on you. In fact, you can almost see it starting to do it on the stems there, but they are the leaf sheaths and they will drop away. And then it will be left with that plum colour underneath, and it's fantastic. If you want to impress your friends with an ornamental grass, get that one. It is wonderful. And I like to think that I've brought this to lots of people's attentions. And I know Ben up at Cliffbank Nursery up in Yorkshire there, he's getting a lot of interest since I supplied him with this particular plant. And I've since taken him some more of those up there. I've split some off early on, and he's got loads now. So if you're looking for one, look up Cliffbank Nursery, and hopefully Ben will be able to supply you with one. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to say is bamboos. Now, not all bamboos are invasive, as I always say. People think they're invasive. They're not. Not all bamboos are invasive. And I love them. This is a Fargesia type. So it's Fargesia robusta formidable. Now, this is a fast-growing one. I'll give you that. It is a fast-growing one. But it is a clumper. That's all it is, a clumper. It's not going to do any more than that, or no more than I'm going to allow it to do. I planted this here 3 years ago, I think now. And I planted it in this section because I wanted to contain it, even as a clump. I wanted it to stay a certain size. So it can't go no further than the decking to the right. And then to the left, it can't go no further than that telegraph pole will allow. And if it should get a bit further in, it's easy to spot and cut out the little bits, but it won't. It hopefully should stay where it is. That was put there to give me some privacy when I'm sat on the decking. And it will get taller. It's not as tall as it should be yet, but it will get taller. And over time, that's going to serve its purpose. And these are dead easy to do splits with as well. You can split these very easily and get, if you so wish. We'll just give this a mention while we're here. We'll not put this on my list, but this is Fatsia japonica, and a superb shrub. Used to be very, very hit and miss, this shrub. If I go back to the 90s, this would be very hit and miss. Because if we got any cold winters, which we got a lot more then, this would pretty much die right down to the ground, but would always come back. So do I include it on my list? Well, actually, I think I'm gonna put this on my list. Fatsia japonica. Try it. Again, if you've got that jungly look garden, this would be perfect for you. It can go into shade as well. These big palmate leaves take in light a lot easier. So being in a darker position wouldn't make no difference to that. And it would go lovely with that miscanthus as well. Just saying. Okay, so while we're here, we might as well show you this. This is what a neighbour made for me some time back, and it's a bee pod, I call that one. And that is already filled up with eggs. Those ones that are sealed up, they've got eggs inside of those. Apparently they take about 6 weeks, and then the eggs hatch, pupate, and out they come. So for solitary bees, they're brilliant. It's all looking very nice indeed. Love it. Oh, I think we'll move to this. I think I'm going to put this on my list. Simply because it's a small tree, and I know people like smaller trees. This is a small tree, slow growing, but it has this wonderful leaf, as you can see here. This is a sorbus, and this is Sorbus Leonard Messel. And I love this one. I had this at a previous garden. In fact, the last garden that I left this there. Not this particular one. I had to rebuy this one. I got this from Larch Cottage Nurseries up in the Lake District. And it's fantastic. It's only 5.5 foot at the moment. It will get bigger than that, but over time. Let's go into the nook for a quick look, if we can get in. Oh, we seem to have a malfunction, but there we go, we're in. We'll just show you this. I don't really want to describe anything in here, but needless to say, it's looking absolutely superb. Deliberately pared back, so there isn't many plants in there. Bit of a secret area. And thank you again to the chap that named this the Nook. It was called the Secret Garden. Didn't want to keep it that anymore. It wasn't appropriate. And it was suggested I could call it the Nook. And I did. So we'll take a wander up here. And look at this. This area, as I've put on another video, is going to be changed. Completely changed. It's not where I want it. It's not really been doing it for me. So I'm going to really give it a fresh identity. So hopefully I've already uploaded the video which explains that this is going to be a Japanese garden at some point. Not right now, but it will. Hopefully by the end of the year I'll have made changes and we'll have started the process if nothing else. Everything's looking wonderful. Everything. I'd love to talk about every single plant that I've got in this garden, and as I keep coming backwards and forwards on my videos, I will suggest other plants that I consider worth having. I don't grow any plant that I don't think's worth having. I don't bother. I tend to use my own judgment on plants, and I don't need help with that. I've been doing it a long, long time now. And it's looking fantastic. So it's working well, this area. And is there any plants I can recommend here? I think I can. I think I can mention this one. This is an Acer. And this is Aconitifolium. It has a wonderful, wonderful autumn colour. Followed by, well, a nice shape. And again, you've got to create these shapes yourself. You cannot expect a tree to do its own thing without at least a bit of guidance from yourselves. And I'm always doing it. But give yourself time and be careful what you cut off. Because remember, when it's gone, it's gone. So that's wonderful. So I don't really want to put more than that on this video. There's just too much. Way too much to show you. Oh, these are looking good while we're here. We might as well show you these. There you go. There's the seeds on this. This is a Pinus. And it's a Mugo type. And it's sending up those little flowers. They look fantastic. And then we'll end with this one. This is Cortaderia richardii. Fantastic. The New Zealand Toto grass is now about to start flowering. And it has a multitude of flower stems in there. We will definitely do another video on that in the next couple of weeks because it's going to look absolutely superb. Clump former, big plant, give it the space. Looks great in small gardens as well. Like if you've got a small garden, just consider large plants because you'd need a lot fewer of them. And that's a cracking one. Okay, so we'll end it at that. Because I've just got too many good plants to show you. Hopefully, I'll do another video very shortly. So that's a few of my go-to plants. I'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da!